All right, guys, we're back with Exotic Car Hacks, and yes, it is time to start unveiling some of the new cars that are joining the collection in 2025, starting with the real first long-term collection edition, the brand new Sport Classic. In short, this is a 992 Turbo S with basically a manual transmission and a heritage interior. It is not necessarily that it's incredibly special or anything else, but it's quite rare. There's 1,000 units or so, and very few in different colors other than silver or Arctic silver, or whatever they call that ice gray. This is a blue, I think called Ventani blue or something. And it has a heritage interior, 60 miles on the clock. And the main reason I bought this particular Sport Classic over others is it has an actual decal lit kit from the factory. So there's no giant circle here. There's no Porsche logo here. It is a very clean looking Sport Classic. Now we're going to talk about this. I have actually not driven this car at all. I left it in here because I wanted to do the first drive together and actually get to experience this car together and see if I actually like it or not. Now, I've been very critical of the Porsche product recently, calling my 992 Targa 4 GTS one of the best cars ever on the road, and calling my 992 GT3 RS one of the biggest piece of shit ever made in Porsche history. Now, we may or may not agree on that. Nonetheless, this is yet another version of what I consider to be very interesting product. 300K MSRP, sells on the used market between 450 and 500K. So it's going to be interesting to see, is it worth the hype, the 150K over MSRP, or is it not? Something very, very unique, because we talked about this with the GT3 RS. It just wasn't there. Like the 100K over MSRP, not that interesting. Even at 50K over MSRP, I thought, not really that great of a car. Now at MSRP, maybe, but above that, just wasn't hitting it for me. So the Sport Classic, significantly rare, significantly different, a manual transmission, one of the best looking interiors, and we're gonna experience this together and really see if it's worth. But before we do that, I wanna show you guys something else. This is my Bentley GTC Speed, the 2024, the last edition made. This is not a wrap, this is a factory one-of-one car by Mulliner in this ruby star color. I just finished the wheels, so I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Look at how good this came out. These anarchies came out amazing, thanks to our friends at Wheels Boutique. Amazing, amazing, and it really made the car. Like, it just took it to the next level. And this is one of the biggest pussy magnets like on the planet. It's absolutely amazing how much more attention this car gets from females than any other Bugatti or anything else. This is just unbelievable. But I think it came out spectacular. I just wanted to show it. It wasn't worth doing a whole video on it. We'll definitely do photo shoots if you follow me on I Create Millionaires that you'll see over time. But this car is staying because I adore this car. I'm probably going to lose money on this car. Now, I saved a ton of money buying it brand new, but nonetheless, I'm still going to probably lose money because it's a Bentley, and Bentleys depreciate significantly higher than other cars. Sometimes when you just have money, you don't give a shit. But in this particular case, I just wanted another pink car to replace my Targa 4 GTS. So this car came about, if you haven't followed the channel that long. And it was a little bit of a different feel, but more of a usable daily driver. Anyways, in this case here, back to the Sport Classic, I'm going to show you the car a little bit. Not many differences from the Turbo. It seems that the majority of things outside of the side skirts being painted and not having this plastic everywhere because all the panels seem to be painted black. An option you can actually get on the Turbo, so basically a loaded Turbo front. Nothing really different, minus these little badges here. Again, a cute $10 edition. Not sure if it's really worth 150K extra, but you kind of have this continuity, and it's really the same car overall. You do get the wider flares similar to the Turbo without the scoops here. I don't know if I like that. I like the scoops. I think they look kind of cool. In this particular case, you don't get that. And then you get this ducktail that's very like classic and old school Porsche with some Porsche heritage logos throughout the car. Obviously the gold classic look. Not sure, again, like, I see what they're trying to do from a design standpoint. I get the idea of bringing some of this older stuff, because back in the day, for those of you youngins that haven't been around long enough in the car game, we used to have gold logos on stuff. Gold all in my chain, gold all in my ring. And actually, when we were really gay back then and we were trying to make a statement that we had some money, we used to take silver logos and send them to a company to get them gold plated and put them back on our cars, as somehow that was a hot thing back in the 90s.
you know, I can see why that works. It's worked for Stinger. It's worked for some of these other classic resto mod kind of companies. So I see what Porsche did. It kind of brought it back here. The wheels are available on the Turbo S as well, and they are here as a standard thing with these, what they call, I think, Fuchs. But nonetheless, the one thing I can tell you from a design standpoint that I really like, outside of the fact that it's got stripes, which you can do with vinyl anyways for cheap on a Turbo S, the one thing this car does a little bit better than a Turbo S, in my opinion, is the way it sits, like the height, the offset of the wheel, just the overall feel of the car right from the factory. It feels really right. So this is something that I've argued 100 times with every manufacturer. They get cars and you get them and immediately feel, fuck, this thing sits up like a bus. Oh, this doesn't really work. I mean, look, this AMG GT Black Series is a race car. It sits very well, like the way you would expect from a race car. Like, it sits low. It doesn't really need an adjustment. Now, you could get it perfected and really like down, but it looks good. It doesn't really need much more. It doesn't have to be fucked with. And that's one of my arguments, is when you're spending that kind of money and the car's intent is to be used more as a sports car, it doesn't need to be like that high and have these gaps. So in this case, for a car that's kind of a driving car, not so much a race car, like an enjoyable spirited driving car, you can see that the height is good. It's not too low, it's not too high. It doesn't impede on the design of the car, which I think is really important. It looks really good with the design. And I think that's what really matters. It's just a good looking car. Like, and right from the factory, it takes the best of the turbo, cleans it up a little bit, and makes it work. Now, the first thing, obviously, I thought when I bought this car was, I'm gonna do a set of Anarchy wheels, I'm gonna lower it. But I wanted to see it first, because I was like, maybe after I see it, I'll feel different about it. And I am feeling different about it, because this is the third Sport Classic that I've actually bought. The other two were actually bought and flipped, so I never got to drive them. This particular one is actually bought for the collection, because I found a spec that I actually liked. And shout out to my friends at Graham for hooking this up. They've always taken good care of me, especially Scott there. So if you ever need classic Porsches or anything exciting, hit him up. He's a really good guy, and they do really, really clean cars. Actually, one of the only that I really trust with standing behind what they sell. So I'm very, very excited to be able to do yet another deal with those guys. But this car has 60 miles. It's literally brand new. Great color combination, very classic for this car. I'm gonna take a look inside the car. I think you can really see the heritage interior. One thing that's really interesting with these cars is you get a really old school feel with this, which is great. You can also spec this in the turbo, so it's not that special, but you'll get this trim level. One thing that I really like here, and I want to point this out because the majority of these cars come with wood here. There's a wood panel here instead of the leather covered panel, and it gives the car a very old school feel. Now, typically I would tell you, like, the wood's fine, like it works because it's a sport classic, but as a younger guy who genuinely doesn't give a shit about the history of Porsche or anything else, I don't want fucking wood in my 992. I don't care it's a Turbo S or Sport Classic. That didn't make sense for me. So this one came with this leather version, which I thought was significantly better. And then you get the little thing here that tells you like number 1196 out of 1250. So, you know, it's a numbered car. It's a later model car, which is fantastic for me. So, you know, no graphics, no wood. In my opinion, a very, very clean color combination makes this a very classic Sport Classic. You see what I did there? So let's go for a quick drive together for the very first time and see how I feel about driving a 992 turbo manual. All right, guys, so first time in the Sport Classic, going for a drive. Not the first time sitting in one, first time driving in one. Nothing really feels different here than a Turbo S, other than obviously it's a 3-pedal car instead of just being a PDK car or whatever, but everything else seems to be ideally just the same thing. I never understood this thing on this Porsche bullshit, is you get this private mode thing. Every time you get in, you gotta hit like 15 different menu things. It's almost like you gotta consent to your privacy every time, which I think is weird that the car doesn't just kind of read that. That's a common thing with all Porsches. It's not just like on this particular car, the Sport Classic specifically. Just noting that I'm always complaining about something. Couldn't put carbon. We know you don't have a brain and never learn how to make money. Very GM-like center. I think they basically took this from GM. This matches my Cadillac Escalade perfectly. But otherwise, let's go for a quick drive and see if we really don't like this car, what we like about it. As I mentioned earlier, it's nice that it drives, like it sits really well, so you don't really have to lower it or worry about the bumps on the road. And the shifter, the rev matching is just fantastic. It's been fantastic in all the Porsches, so that's one thing that's just absolutely amazing. You get the obviously the same 3 modes as a regular turbo, which is cool. And again, this has very, very few miles with only like 60 miles on the clock, so it should be a very interesting car to add some miles to. Now I'm gonna go to sport because obviously no one drives in normal other than pussies. No matter what, you need the noise and you need the excitement, and then we'll try it in Sport Plus. I can already tell you it's a lot better than an RWB car. Nothing like an RWB shitbox. It sounds good, it's docile, it's got tech, and look at that, listen to that rev match, so fantastic. The gauges are also different. You start seeing this more like greenish, kind of like glow-in-the-dark type gauge, which is really cool. But everything else seems to be very much the same. The drive is, I can tell you, really, really planted and solid for a manual. Very different from the Targa 4 GTS already. Very, very different. But it sounds amazing. Like, it sounds amazing with the windows up. You don't really get, like, you don't get the whole thing, and yet it still sounds good. So I think it's really amazing. So far so good. Now let's go a little bit faster on the main road and see what we can really get behind here. Wait, I'm gonna go this way actually. It sounds really good, yeah. Like, and that's the thing I love about this car. That, like, the one thing that you really like get with a car like this, which I heard over and over again from people, and I was like, I get it, but like, you got to experience it to understand it, is you get a car that feels like it's right from the factory. It doesn't need to be like altered. Like, that's the key. Look at this amazing headliner. Look at how different it looks from everything else you have. It's not Alcantara. It's unique. The gauges are somewhat unique. And yet it's not far from what works, because the 992 Turbo is one of the best priced cars on the market right now for an all-around car. So here you get a more special version of that, and it's in the little touches that you feel the specialty, and then the manual adds that driving experience that's just unparalleled. So you get a lot of what's really good, and you get that one like thing there and there that makes it so much better. And yet it's so small. And I've always argued 100 times over that the most important part of cars isn't the details that most people miss. Meaning, like, the ride height is good, the interior feels right, the materials feel right to the touch. And the little details, you're not looking at something ugly, or like, you know, the material just makes you feel excited. And I've always argued that some of the best manufacturers that do this from a car right at a factory are the new Bentley, which is also built by Porsche. So that tells you that, you know, they get it. And then secondly, I think the other part is really, like, the other car that really gets it is Rolls-Royce. While a Rolls is not like a sports car, it really hits right for what it's supposed to be. And I think that's what makes it absolutely amazing. Like, just so different, so unique, and it just works. So that's why I personally think that this is, it's just a very, like, it gets its audience. And that's one of the things I look for every single car review is not just like, is this better? Because we're all different. Like, you're different than me. You like different things. You're gonna feel different things. My idea when I review a car is very different from other YouTubers. I don't really think or care, like, how fast is it? How, like, does it do what it's supposed to do, and does it do well? That's the key. And then, is that price for what it does it for somewhat reasonable, or is it a complete waste of money and time? And if you add that to the way you look at cars, you stop trying to make every car better than the next one, and you start to focus in on, is it supposed to be a really good version of what it's supposed to do? And if it is, and is it priced in a way that matters? In this case, it's exclusive, it's exquisite, it drives fast, it gives you something unique, it's numbered. So yeah, it's gonna be more expensive than what the manufacturer wants to actually give it. But then you start looking at what other driving experiences like that exist. Well, then you look at RWB cars, you look at Gunter cars, you look at Stinger cars, all, you know, $1 million cars, 300K cars for very old cars. Here you have modern tech, you have modern car, you have a 6-speed, you have turbo engine, you have all these things that typically would cost a lot of money. And just like Porsche delivers, in this one particular instance, it completely failed, in my opinion, with the GT3 RS, because it built a track car and it made it unusable on the street, and it made it unfun on the street. And to me, that's the number one thing. It's not that, is it supposed to be a great track car? Great. Then why does the GT2 RS have a better track record? Then here's the other argument. It's just a track car, it's the new shit. Great. So if it's selling for 200K over, and the majority of people that are buying these cars are absolutely tracking them, but it's still street legal, then why is it not fun on the street? Why can't I have a car like an STO that's fun on the street? But this really, really works well for what it's supposed to do and how it's supposed to feel. It's supposed to feel special. It's supposed to feel connected. It's supposed to feel exciting. And it just does that so well, and it sounds so good. And I think that's something that you don't hear me say a lot, but I did mention this on the Targa 4 GTS. I said it was one of the best cars that Porsche made, but it had flaws from the factory, meaning it needed mods to really come to life and be exciting. This really doesn't. And the argument is that this is only technically like 150K more than the Targa 4 GTS. And well, yeah, that's a big difference, you may say, on the surface, but the majority of buyers can usually afford both. They just choose to spend less on a car. And this is going to be harder to get, so they just don't know how to buy them, so they'll see them online and be like, this is double the price, you're wrong. But reality is that it really is the same type of buyer, but in this particular case, I think, outside of the fact that, let's take away the fact that you want to add miles or not to this car or care, this is an exquisite product. It works really, really well. It sounds really good. It makes you feel special driving it. And every time you touch or look up or do something, you feel somewhat like you're not in a Turbo S, and yet you get the best of that world. And more than anything else, you also get the best of that world with an extra touch. Now, do I think, here's the ultimate question, is this worth 200K above a Turbo S coupe? And the short answer is a manual alone would be worth 300K more, because they took an absolutely spectacular product and made it fun, exciting, and brought it back to its original state. And for the first time, I'm gonna say this on the channel, this is a perfectly executed product by Porsche in modern times. That's right, I didn't actually talk shit. Amazing, right? You see what happens? You make a good car, and I call it as it is. You make a shit box, and I call it as it is. There is no part in this channel that's about, like, my opinion because I can or can't. I can afford most things. And I can tell you that great things aren't always the most expensive ones. They're just the ones where manufacturer paid attention to details. And I've said this 100 times over in a lot of different ways and times, and I'll say it again. Manufacturers have stopped creating great product. They completely have stopped, except for their specialty product. This is a specialty product, and it's great product. If it wasn't specialty, like normal cars, that like a Carrera, etc., it would have a lot of flaws. But in this case, I even said the Turbo S was great product for the money. And now I'm saying that this is worth twice the money, and it's absolutely amazing product. So our first drive together, an incredible opportunity to test drive the Sport Classic together. There'll be a lot more videos on this because I'm going to be putting miles on this. It only has 60 miles, but I'll probably put 3,000 miles in the next 2 years on it. So more reviews coming on how I feel about it over time. Remember, this channel is about ownership experience from a real owner's perspective. I don't borrow cars. Every car on this channel I own personally. I put my money in, even if it's for a week and I hate it. You guys saw I lost 50 grand on GT3 RS. There's other cars where I make 200-300 grand. Doesn't matter. The point is, if we buy a car, the intent is to try to break even. And in worst case, we lost money. We learned, the experience is there, and you guys followed. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notification, and I'll catch you next time for Exotic Car Hacks.